Right, so we're now on to this transfer. Now, I hope you can see that. So we've got, this is a Milwards Spinmaster. We've got the banner here, which is fairly intact. It's not too bad. It's missing a bit on the end there, so it's quite easy to put right. But the Milwards arm with the sword is completely gone. So, I mean, redrawing transfers is one thing. When it comes to, I mean, that's a complete redraw, and there's no way you're going to get it looking right. So I think this is one of those circumstances where you just need to put a new transfer on. But the Spinmaster banner, we're going to put that right. So for that, we're going to use an artist's pen with Indian ink, just to get the outline, and then we've got some liquid acrylic ink in a metallic gold, which should be a fairly decent match to that, and similar for the flame red there. So I'm just going to get started on that now. Yeah, so hopefully you can see what I'm doing now. I'll try and keep that in shot. It's not easy when obviously I'm not looking through the camera while I'm doing this. So again, we're just going to very gently, with the sharp edge of the blade, really gently, we're going to go up to the key line, and then with the back edge of the blade we're just going to push it away. All right, so we're just going to work our way around. That's coming away so easily. I mean, this is often people say, oh, you know, they don't want to take the old varnish off the rod because it's been on there for so long, and I understand the sentiment, I get it, but the fact of the matter is, if it's been on there for 70 years or so and you're going to put new varnish over the top of it, you're not really doing any favours. I mean, you're just putting your new varnish down onto something that's virtually peeling away from the rod. So I don't hold great store with that. If you genuinely want to enable a rod to last another few decades, then take the old varnish off. Do it. You've got to do it well, otherwise it's going to look a mess. You don't want any. I hate to see these dark bands around the transfers where people leave the old varnish on up to the, you know, they don't go up to the transfer. Get rid of all that. Take a little bit of time. You know, I mean, we're talking about, it's probably going to take you 20 minutes or so just to go around it really gently. I'm actually going to leave that. I'm going to cut that away after I've put the repair on. I think that might be a better way to do this particular one. But yeah, just take your time. Don't leave those big bands. It just looks awful. Right, so what we're going to do now, we're going to follow that. We can see where the banner needs to be. So we're going to just follow that around. We're going to put a key line in first. Okay, so we can see how it's got the curve going up here. We're just going to very carefully just draw that in. Now, I use a rotoring pen. The reason I use a rotoring pen is you get a much more consistent thickness of line. It all depends on what you're doing. If you're trying to fill in some hand, you know, something that was originally done by hand using a calligraphy pen, then use a calligraphy pen. But in this instance, we're talking about, this is a key line on what was originally a print artwork. So they probably used a pen quite similar to this. And there we've got the little curve coming round. They can be a bit awkward if you're not used to these pens. You have to hold them you probably can't see what I'm doing because I've got the pen in the way, because you have to hold them upright, otherwise they don't work. You need it, essentially that the tip of that nib, it's like a little tube. Unless it's virtually flat, unless the edge of the tube is, or the end of the tube is virtually flat to the surface, it's not going to work. But once you get used to it, it's all right. Okay, so now we've got the outline. So what we want to do now, let's just pop the lid back on that, is we've got some gold liquid acrylic, very similar to, in consistency, it's very similar to Indian ink. So let's just, okay, we need a finer brush than that, hang on a minute. Right, that's better. So, right, nice fine brush, and we're going in here. Now we're not going to worry about the lettering for now, because that's going to go on top afterwards. So we're just going to just fill in up to the key line, and that's, it's not a bad match. It looks a little bit brighter, but what we're going to do is once we've filled in the gold and the red and we've done the lettering, what we're going to do is just, we're going to dull that down a little bit. We're going to sort of dirty it up a bit so it blends in a bit better with the original. Right. And I dare say the original was probably this lovely lustrous gold originally. You can get various types of this ink. This is it's the one that kind of looks the oldest. There's another one that's much yellower, which is, it's good for some things. What I'm going to do as well, actually, I'm just going to gently dapple a few little bits in here and there onto the existing gold, just to kind of make that transition a little less obvious. So just a little dapple, that's all we're doing. There you go, a little bit around here. See, we've still got part of the R there, which is handy, so we can use that as a reference point. The R on the end of Spinmaster. Alright, it's still looking a little bit obvious up this end, so let's just get back in there again. There we go. I hope we're still in shot here. I haven't got. I'm trying to hold everything in the same place. I can't see through the camera while I'm doing this, so hopefully we're still in shot. So, yeah. Okay. Now we're just going to give that brush a little wash, and we're going to do the red, because we've got some flame red in the corner of that banner there, just to match it up with the other side. So get the red ink. There we are. I've already tested this ink on a little bit of cane, and it looked quite nice. It looked the right kind of red for the Milwards. So that's just going in there. And the thing is, when you're doing this through a magnifying lens, it's great, because you actually, you get such fine, you can see such fine detail. And of course, the slightest little thing, you'll notice it and you're picking it up under the lens and you're thinking, oh my goodness, So you get it as good as you can, but as soon as you take that lens off, you realise that with the naked eye, you've got it a damn sight better than you thought you had originally. Okay, so now we've got the outline, we've got the red, and we just need to do the writing. But I'm going to come back to that, because if we do it now, that gold's not going to be quite dry enough. I need that. We need to leave that for a little while, and then we can just touch the writing in over the top. I'm not sure if I'll do that with the pen. Actually, I might do that with a brush, because it's not that even. I think if we do it with a pen, I think it might look better than the original, and it's going to stand out a bit. So I think I might just do that with a brush, but we'll see. We'll come back to that bit. Okay, so we're back on this lettering now. So I'm going to try this with a brush, see how we go. This is just a fine brush, Indian ink. It's lovely to work with. It's beautifully smooth, and you can get, if you've got the right brush, you can get a really fine line and some nice control. So now, a little bit of guesswork involved here, because the lettering is totally gone. It's looking all right so far, I think. No, I'm going to go back over that. I think actually in this case it might be a good idea to start with the E. I think that's going to kind of dictate the T. So let's go backwards. Sometimes it helps. Another thing is a little trick I learned in print years ago, is if you're trying to fill in missing lettering, which sometimes we used to have to do, sometimes it is better to work backwards or turn the thing upside down. And the reason for that is it stops you kind of following almost your own handwriting style, and you start to actually just let yourself be dictated by the actual artwork that you're trying to follow rather than your own writing style. So that doesn't look too bad at the moment. It's going to need a little bit of tickling up, but as we are, it's not looking too bad. So, as is often the case, less can be more. So the important thing is to resist the temptation to do more than you need to do. We need to fill that little bit in along there. I noticed that when I was just cutting that transfer back, there's a little bit of key line missing. Oh dear, look, I've gone a bit over the top there. We'll have to take that back afterwards. That's okay, it's not going to be a problem. The thing with this is, obviously you don't want to have to keep going back and doing it again, but if you need to put something right, you can. It's not a problem. It's not a problem at all. And you get far more satisfaction in getting it right. If you've got something that's kind of bugging you and you think, oh damn, I've messed that up, and you think, oh, I'll get away with it, leave it on there, that'll be all right. That's going to bug you for the rest of your days. So far better just to get it right. Yeah, that's going to take a little bit of a tickle. I need to just fill in some of the gold in there. I've got to create a new gap between the T and the E, but other than that, we're looking pretty good. Okay, so what we've got now is we've reproduced just a black and white line work transfer for the Milwards arm and sword, because there was no way we were going to be able to retrieve the old one. So in this instance, it's going to be way better just to create a new one. So we're using exactly the same ink. We've got the black outline, which I've actually recreated that using Illustrator on the Mac, and what we're going to do is just very, very carefully paint this in. Now you can get reproduction transfers printed. In my experience, they're never particularly good. So I prefer, I've never actually, this is the first time I've done a Milwards, but it's definitely the most intricate one I've done. I think the best way is to do it like this, because they were never perfect. If you look at them, they're not actually perfect. I mean, I'm actually from a print background, and look, you know, in the way that they used to reproduce artwork and all of that, most of it was hand drawn. So this is, it's quite a nice way of doing it. It retains an element of craft as well, which is always good. And of course, if we're using a combination like we are here, so we're repairing the existing Spinmaster transfer, as we've just done on in the previous shot, or at least we've started doing that. And this is using exactly the same inks. You're getting that nice shimmer effect, which you won't get if it's digitally printed. So I think it's the best way to do it. Takes a little bit of time, but it's quite satisfying. So just going to gradually work our way around this, just filling in all those details. So on this one, on this transfer, these sections of this sort of band along here, these were alternated red and gold. So we're going to just leave the red for now, come back to that in a minute. So I guess you need a kind of steady hand for this, but it's not so bad once you get started. Going around this lettering is going to be a little bit intricate, but it is all possible. One of the things about doing it this way is that the print actually leaves a very, very slight raised effect, so it's not as difficult as you might think, kind of going up to the lettering. And so there is always, you do have the opportunity, of course, if you do go over something, you can either wipe it off if you're quick enough. It does dry pretty quick, this stuff, or you can just go over it very lightly with your black pen afterwards. But you should be able to get it pretty good. So this one isn't going too bad so far. We might even get it all done in one hit by the look of it. A little bit excessive there, got away with it. It's quite satisfying, intricate work really. I think that's what I like the most about doing these lovely old rods, is it is quite intricate. I've gone over the little bit of the D there, look, and the R. I'll have to go back to that. We'll cover that over with the black. So just going to do, oh hang on a minute, there's one thing I've got to do. So that sword on the Milwards, it's like a kind of creamy colour, and I suspect if we just do a little bit of gold and white, we should get it about right. Just mix a bit up there. So there we go. Obviously we can't see it on this surface because we're dealing with a white surface, but we can always touch it up afterwards. But that should be about right. It's that kind of off-white colour. So clean the brush up, and we'll pop the red in, and then we can leave that all to dry. Shouldn't take long, but probably best to leave it overnight, in all honesty. So a little bit of red. Yeah. So these bits here, there you go. It's quite nice to work with actually. I think the pigment inks, like the red rather than the gold's a metallic. But the pigment inks actually are much nicer to work with. The metallic tends to spread quite easily, but the pigments are lovely. So there you are. There, one Milwards transfer, and I'm just going to go over, once that's dry I'll go over, there's a couple of little bits there where I've gone over the lettering a tiny bit, but that will all be fine once we've addressed that. Obviously we can't do that until it's dry, so I shall see you later. There it is, finished transfer. Looks really nice, so we can get on with the rest of the rod now.